I guess I've got to start screening people with the boat waiver question. Wait, am I even a boat waiver? Hey everybody, welcome to Mainely Movies. As part of my coverage of the 2023 Sundance Film Festival, today I'm going to be talking about the 2023 romantic comedy Rye Lane, which will be released on HULU on March 31st. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content, like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. Rye Lane stars Vivian, Oparah, David Jonsson, and Benjamin Sarpong-Broni, and was directed by Raine Miller. It tells the story of two 20-somethings, Yaz and Dom, who connect after spending the day together after a chance meeting at an art show. One of the things I think a lot of people don't realize about film festivals is just how draining they can be. And I don't mean draining in terms of energy, though that's definitely the case as well. I mean emotionally draining. Festivals like Sundance are absolutely full of heavy, dramatic films. Many of these movies would be an emotional challenge to watch on their own, but when you watch 4 or 5 of them a day for 10 days straight, it starts to take its toll. You really do start to feel drained. So I always try to fit some lighter, slightly more upbeat films into my schedule as a way to recharge and take a break without actually taking a break. Of the 41 films I saw at Sundance this year, there were probably 5 or 6 movies that I'd characterize as positive and upbeat, but Rye Lane was easily the sweetest of the bunch. This romantic comedy is the epitome of cute, but never comes across as cloying or overly saccharine. Instead, it's just a stylish, smile-inducing rom-com that's incredibly easy to enjoy. Even though romantic comedies aren't my favorite genre, I do like them, and I sure have seen an awful lot of them. Rye Lane has elements to it that are quite familiar, and even pays homage to past rom-coms with an entertaining cameo, but it very much has its own unique feel. This is probably the most energetic and stylish romantic comedy I've ever seen. It's a very fast-paced and colorful affair with an incredibly youthful energy to it. Youthful, but not overly trapped within any single generational attitude, so it's easy to understand and relate to even if you're older than the characters. The music, the snappy dialogue, the propulsive script, it all makes for a fun, breezy watch, and at only 82 minutes long, including credits, it sticks around just long enough to tell its story and not a minute longer. There are a lot of stylistic aspects of Rye Lane to enjoy, but my favorite is easily the editing. It's very reminiscent of Edgar Wright's kinetic editing style, and although it often reminded me of his films, the editing here is still distinctive. It features a number of creative transitions, like the overhead intro of a series of bathroom stalls, or even a visually interesting fridge scene later on. The editing works perfectly with the narrative style, as we see stylized flashbacks told by unreliable narrators, as well as daydream or planning scenarios in which the characters insert themselves into an imagined scene as they tell it. Think of something along the lines of the Kill Philip planning sequence in Shaun of the Dead. Again, reminiscent of Wright's style, but still its own creative thing. There's a bit too much ultra-wide fisheye lens use here, especially in tracking shots, but it's a minor gripe when looking at the overall style. When it comes to movies, I'm definitely a plot person, so I have to admit that I'm a little surprised by just how much I liked Rye Lane. It does have a plot, sort of, but it's largely a meandering walk and talk kind of movie. These two characters get to know each other as they walk around South London together. These walk and talk scenes do join eventful moments, but those moments alone don't really constitute a plot as much as they do a series of vignettes and occasions for us to see the two leads interacting under a whole slew of different circumstances. Speaking of the leads, Vivian, Oparah, and David Jonsson are wonderful. Both are relative newcomers to the big screen, but they're extremely charismatic and have good chemistry together. And they're not the only newcomers here. Rye Lane is the directorial debut by Raine Miller, and what a confident debut it is. This was such a fun and fresh film, and I can't wait to watch it again. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number one is definitely the style. So I realize that's pretty broad, but there are just so many aspects of the style that I liked that I had to combine them because I would have ended up with way too many pros. The stylistic component I liked the most here was the kinetic editing, but I also really enjoyed the production design and colors, the music, and the playful cutaway storytelling style. The whole thing just has a very energetic and youthful vibe that worked really well with the story. The second pro is the script. This was one of the things that really took me by surprise with this film. The basic rom-com premise is something we're all very familiar with at this point, and the script certainly has its fair share of familiar and even predictable moments, but it's able to tell the story in an engaging and satisfying way. There are a few spots that disrupt the flow, and I kinda wish the whole story could have been contained within a single day, but the script offers some very funny, snappy dialogue, as well as some smile-inducing payoffs to things introduced early on in the story. Speaking of smile-inducing, pro number 3 is the chemistry. Oparah and Jonsson are wonderful together. Yaz and Dom are two very different characters, with two very different approaches to life, but they find common ground with their shared experiences. I think describing a rom-com or a relationship as cute can often be seen as an eye-rolling or minimizing thing. But the cute sweetness of Rye Lane is endearing and absolutely one of its biggest draws. On the con side, my only real issue was the overuse of wide fisheye lenses. I think a lot of people will probably actually like this, since it's a very unique stylistic choice, but it didn't work for me. The edge distortion that fisheye lenses cause was pretty distracting to me, especially during the horizontal tracking shots. If it was just used 1 or 2 times, it would have been alright and not worth mentioning here, but the overuse made me explicitly think of the lens each time, rather than being able to focus all my attention on the story at hand. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying Rye Lane or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. I'm gonna give Rye Lane 4 out of 5 paws, and I wouldn't be surprised if this rating goes up on rewatch. It's a sweet and stylish romantic comedy that'll have you smiling throughout its runtime, while simultaneously being entertained by its kinetic editing and modern script. It's a fresh, revitalized take on the rom-com that's probably going to be pretty influential on the genre for the foreseeable future. I would recommend Rye Lane to fans of romantic comedies or anybody looking for a quick, stylish comedy. Even though it's got many hallmarks of your typical rom-com, it's not your typical rom-com, boasting a very energetic and distinctive style. People who like the editing in Edgar Wright's movies will enjoy the kinetic style here, but be aware that the plot isn't particularly well formed. It's more of a meandering, situational type of story. If you liked Rye Lane, I would recommend Before Sunrise. This first film in the Before trilogy is another walk-and-talk romance in which the leads aimlessly wander while getting to know each other. This is a much more subdued and thought-provoking film, lacking the stylistic flourishes and upfront comedy of Rye Lane. If you liked the kinetic editing and storytelling style, you should watch Shaun of the Dead. Edgar Wright's first installment in the Cornetto trilogy is another funny, energetic rom-com, just with zombies. And if you'd like another romantic comedy with music driving its plot, you might want to check out Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. Similar to Rye Lane, it's another quick and breezy rom-com that follows 2 teens who spend the night getting to know each other while on a music-related quest, following a chance meeting. Alright, a couple of questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen Rye Lane? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's your favorite movie that's less than 85 minutes long? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information on this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainely Movies, the way life should be.